All right, Shalom Israel. Giving all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Rakah Kadash, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle, elders, bishops, great millstone. Much salutations to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect soon to be elect most high will. To hopefully extend elect Shalom blessing. Real quick video, call this the princes and princesses. You know, um, Yasha Allah is known as Prince of Power. Shar is from that word Prince. Shara is that word, that name Sarah is from princess. You can look it up in the blue letter right here. It's Shara.
Strong's H8282. Sarah. Sarah.
Shara. And it's princess, noble woman, noble lady. How we talk about the hopeful elect lady. And mistress, lady, princess. It says queen, but we know what queen really means come from. But you can have sex slaves that are more important than, than a regular woman. Like if you're a king or a prince and you have a concubine, she's more special, if you will, than the woman that doesn't have you as a prince or as a king. And then we're princes of power, Yasha Allah, but we're gonna, when Most High willing, we be those men, we're gonna become kings and priests. So that's a stage of graduation, if you will, So this is, we always say this is a training ground, and what we're going through, the sufferings on all that, as the princes of power in a low state, will become kings and priests in a high state when we basically rule the world. And there was a recent show, me and the brothers watched it, me by Mike Allah and Yasser Tian. We watched it, the most recent Prince of Bel Air, or I think it's called Bel Air. And that was a thing that Will Smith had, his show, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And that was one of the reasons why we attracted those things. Never question yourself as a man. Never do that, man. Always be a man. Always know you're a man. Never question yourself, man. And certain things we attracted to because of those elements, because of those dynamics. Prince of Bel Air, Will played a goofy character, comedic character, but he had all those women. He had Nia Long, he had Tyra Banks, he had Tisha Campbell, he had, and throughout his high school or college years, according to that show, he was, messing with all kind of women. There was a few more I can't think of right now. But Pam Grier. And, we got to track even Prince, because I wanted to show you the SNL, they had a comedic parody of Prince, called Prince Auditions. And, and then you listen to Prince songs, and plus they were kind of like on the edge of what would you call it? Edge of biblical proportions, He had a song called Thieves in the Temple. He had 1999, which was based on the year 2000, Boost Party Overtime, like the whole, and everybody got a bomb, Yeah, so, and all our people got that kind of, talent, skills, if you will, that attracts us even as music lovers and as cultural people. So it's different things that we could become attracted to and spit out the bones. You might have people like Prince music, but they ain't like him. They're not, and plus he had women too. He had Apollonia Vanity, uh, Sheila E. And all, to me, all attractive women, and basically all Latin tribes, and you kind of want that, like, damn man, that's dope, man. I wanna be a prince. I wanna be a king, you know. Uh, so there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a prince, a king. Um, and it says a prince is basically someone of royal rank, but what that means changes a lot depending on of culture, time period, and context. And prince is a male member. There go a male member of a royal family, and that's what we are. That's princes of power, a royal family, Israelite family, ruler of a principality, a territory ruled by a prince. That's where you get that first achieve. That's where you get that school term principal. When anything go wrong, anything you do wrong, you got to report to the principal. Prince by birth, son or grandson of a king or a queen. Solomon was a prince. He was the son of King David, and then he became a king. Brother, nephew, or close male relative of a monarch. Title does not always mean ruler. Yeah, because these women have a lot of titles and certain entitlements, but they're not ruling the world. They don't rule the world. They don't rule in these precincts or these monarch establishments, But they can become. They are linked to royalty. Can be linked to royalty by culture or by the people ruling. So and our women are distant and they're free spirit. So we tell them that we're princes of power. They don't believe it, so they're not really connected with us to. They rather live the worldly type of way, which is Hollywood and acting, and that's how they become established and entitled and have that ranking effect, that they feed into, being called princes or divas or R&B queens, rap queens, or whatever. So, Prince with some British King, yeah. But we're waiting for our crown. We already have it spiritually, in a way as far as doing the work and maintaining and being diligent in the work. Let no man take that crown. So we are kings and priests in a spiritual way as we do this word and work. But their crown can't be taken from you. But the real manifestation of that is when we're in the kingdom ruling and we have power over all these nations, power over Edom. But it even talks about, the woman calling her the wife calling her husband Lord, as well as you are well behaved in that manner as you are to be like unto the daughters of Sarah, which daughters of princesses. And there's no queen in Israel. There's princesses and elect ladies and so forth, But if you're married to the king, you don't have to wear that banner to be known as a queen. It tells you the virtuous woman is known in the gates. She don't have to be called a queen. She's married to the king. So, even with Prince, and I think Apostle said that, Prince was Mozart in reincarnation. Stevie Wonder was Beethoven. But with all the makeup and the femininity, and all that sassy, that BS that he portrayed, that he displayed on screen. We look past that, and he wore purple and all that, which is color, supposed to be a color of royalty. But we looked past that. We was like, you know, um, listen to the girls he was in, and he was talented. He could play the guitar. His songs were catchy and all that. So just because you listen to certain music, that don't mean you have to be influenced by that artist to be like that artist. And so you had a lot of gangsters. You had a lot of hardcore dudes influenced by Prince. Michael Jackson. A lot of young kids were influenced by Michael Jackson. His name means like unto God. But that don't mean they grew up acting like Michael Jackson and wanting to be actually Michael Jackson. It most likely it was a phase, an enjoyment of their childhood, listening to that certain kind of music that he made, that certain other musicians and artists made, that had that kind of aura, that kind of personality, you know. So, and just because you don't wear makeup and just because you hardcore, that don't mean that you that's who you really are. We're finding out a lot today that a lot of these hardcore men that's in the industry, that used to be in the industry, was a gimmick. They sold out. So, but nevertheless, going back to the Prince, we conduct ourselves in a matter of as kings and priests, princes, and princesses, because of our royalty, and it talks about Yahweh Shai being a prince. He's the ultimate prince. It talks about him being the Prince of Peace. It talks about they killed the prince. I think it's in this one I got. Nah. Yeah, and Acts 3:15, and killed the Prince of Life, whom the Most High had raised from the dead, whereof we are witnesses. Yeah. Acts 5:31, him that hath Most High exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior unto Israel, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins. Could you imagine being a prince? The royalty status. Like, if you read about Solomon, King Solomon, that was once a prince, and I don't get that word, how he explained how he lived in his domain and all that, vessels of gold and silver, musicians, concubines, archegas, concubines, 700 wives, and 300 concubines, man, vessels of gold and silver, musicians, band, servants and all that, man. Like, he could bring a concert to his house. Forget having to travel to a concert. Order them to come to your house. And let me see. It says the chief leader, prince of Yahweh Shai, one that takes the lead in anything and thus affords an example, a predecessor, and a matter, pioneer, the author. And we are all going to become, Most High will, kings and priests, kings and priests, and our sons are going to be princes, and we're already like exercising the princes of power, and our women that we're with that take this sincerely are princesses. Princesses, plural for prince, or a female way of saying princesses. And then you see, along with the success, like I'm using Prince as an example, the artist. He was successful also, you know. Uh, and he was flashy and all that. So a lot of our people are entertained by it. A lot of our people they envy or they imitate entertainers, and um, they idolize entertainers. You know, and I made a video called "I Hate Celebrities" because these MFers sold out, man. And you be like, damn, man. You always find out. It's always some behind who they are and what they do. Taking the bag, rolling with the elites, selling their soul, and it never can just be like talent and skills, and them not selling their soul. And that I get it. I mean, you know, I I know why they do it. They do it for the bag. They do it because they can't get on unless they do it. Like, well, they start off thinking it's a dream, fulfill their dreams, whatever. They're in it, and then they find out that it's different and it's control and all that, and then they go with it. They still continue to go with it. Some come out of it. They're like, no, I can't get with this. So, uh, but you know, in our culture, even with the BS, like we watch movies and we spit out the bones. Even through the BS, you know, there might be a certain a liking to the fashion of things set up, but we don't uh, partake of it as far as being a body of the same fashion, if that makes sense. We're basically on the outside looking in, and we're kind of like enlightened by certain things, um, triggered by certain things, influenced by certain things, and not for the worst, but being like, damn, all right, we are princes of power. We should have any woman we desire, But of course, in this day, that comes with a price, and it's not expedient. But if we princes of power, we the kings and priests, sons, princes of the power, and so forth, and that whole body and that whole nation, and once being on top again, we, like it said in scripture, we're gonna have our heart's desire. So we're gonna have many women. We're gonna have we look at all the women. We kind of like you deprive the women. Look at all the women. Imagine all the women you had a crush on. I could name many women on top of my head that I've had a crush on since I was like 10 and 9 years old. You know, maybe even younger. But it's like, damn, you can't get them because they belong to the industry. They belong to the world. And they like rich men. They like other celebrities. They like celebrity status. So you be like, damn, even though you were used to be in love or had a mad crush on these women, they ain't gonna hold you. They might give you an autograph, or they might meet you, and at the backstage passes, whatever. And you be like, but they ain't gonna go out with you, you know. No matter how nice they are, no matter how neutral they are, no matter how human they are, because they attached to this contractual stuff of the industry, and they got shows to do, and they can't talk to everybody. They held back from the people. They protected by the some elite or a body of men that won't allow you to go near them. So you be like, damn, man. And then you got to deal with an average run over ass everyday female. And I'm saying that because they're not right. Not so much the physical attraction, because they're not right. The average woman, black woman, even Latino, Native American woman, they look for rich men, and if they don't have it, they can't get it, and they deal with you, they're gonna cause you hell. So they're not gonna treat you like you Chris Brown, treat you like you Prince, treat you like you Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. They're not gonna treat you like you know, all these celebrities, man. Because you don't have celebrity money and you don't have the power of a celebrity and not in a celebrity position. But that's all right, man. You're Prince of the Power, no matter how they get you down, no matter how that they try to bring you low. Remember, you're a man, you're a prince, and you're bound to be a king, you know, following righteousness. So fuck f these devils, f these damn them femininity people, them the ones that act like there's a shortage of women out there, or you'll never get a fine ass woman, you'll never get this kind of woman, or a woman that obey you and submit to you. Hold your grounds, hold your loins, you know. Gird thyself up like a man and f these devils, man. You know. Meanwhile, these devils are some of the most perverse people in the world, you know, and they don't they display our people like this with makeup on, and they'll let Prince do that, and sometimes you be like, damn, you mad at you could be mad at Prince, like, damn, man, you all this talent, man, show us as a a manly representation, but he kind of did in that way of how somebody else could see it, that wasn't sucked into that. That damn, he had many women. He represented a prince, like even with all that demon stuff, all that that feminine stuff, whatever you call it. But so it's just about who the man is and what you're influenced by. And I'm influenced by Yahweh Shai, and I love my nation, but I love the greater part of my nation, which is the elect, which is the hopeful elect, men doing the elect work. And, we'll all be in the kingdom, but, for that part of what they represent is not full and complete as far as being the leading role of being what a man should be and what a prince should be and what a king should be, even though they have those titles. So yeah, be careful, be circumspect, and be a man regardless, no matter how low you are, man. No matter how low, and no matter who comes at you or who try to influence you, man. Tell them devils to go to hell in a damn handbag, and that we going to be rulers of the world. Anyway, to the next video, shalom.